Alright, let me check your balance right now. Looks like you have $0, sir.
I just gave you $10,000.
No, that never happened.
What's going on, everybody? Jared here with another Netflix movie review, and we're continuing with the October Halloween costume spooktacular, and today I'm Harry Potter. I got the gown, or rather the robes. I got the magic wand, which there's a pretty good story behind this, and then obviously the scar and glasses. Anyways, though, Netflix, Steven Soderbergh, they've been teaming up with a few movies here or there, and the latest film from him is The Laundromat. When a woman's vacation takes an unthinkable turn, Ellen Martin begins investigating a fake insurance policy. So is this Steven Soderbergh directed film from Netflix a must-see? Let's find out. But before I get into my thoughts, let me know what you guys thought of The Laundromat, if you were able to check this out, and if you thought this was a great true telling of events. Now let's get into some of the good. So straight up, the story in The Laundromat is based on these true events, but also it's fictionalized in the eyes of Steven Soderbergh. But basically, all of these companies are able to do all of this offshore business and whatnot, and the Panama Papers that happened in, I believe, 2016, and all of these banks were found guilty. Basically, it's all of this kind of, you know, in-depth political bribery, fraud, greed events that happened back then. It's told in the eyes of Steven Soderbergh, and also is kind of set up in a way to almost inform you, because personally I wasn't entirely sure of these events when they played out in 2016. I was familiar with a few things here or there, but I liked how the story really informed you of these events and painted them in a way that you, as I guess a normal everyday person, would be able to understand this stuff that's very like financial, in-depth, all of these shell companies and hiding money. So I thought that they told the story in a way that was digestible. And the performances and cast in this movie is pretty stacked for, again, I don't want to, you know, discount Netflix, but for a Netflix movie, you got Meryl Streep, you got Gary Oldman, you have Antonio Banderas, and then a handful of other people, Jeffrey Wright, David Schwimmer, Sharon Stone, and honestly a lot of people. So the cast in this movie is pretty stacked, but I would say that the main characters, or the standouts for myself, Meryl Streep, she does a phenomenal job of acting as this kind of like down on her luck older woman that I don't want to get into the specifics of the movie, but she's very determined by the events that happened to her. And then Gary Oldman and Antonio Banderas are these based on, they're actual people that these Panama Papers involved, but they are very almost caricaturized characters with these you know, flamboyant outfits and these ridiculous accents, and I thought that they did a great job of either narrating the movie or guiding it along, kind of again tying into that flavor of making it fun, but also touching on some very kind of tough and real events. However, the story, the structure of these events, again, the events are great, but the structure of everything was very messy. It's sort of broken down into these 5 different rules or 5 different steps, and told in a way that's almost in the sense of vignettes. And I would say that all of these vignettes, they should tie into each other, and they sort of do, but when we got to steps 4 and 5, it didn't connect with anything else, brought in new characters, and I understand what they were going for. They're trying to tell all of the different viewpoints of this big story into the final conclusion, but I thought it was told very messily. And tying into the messy story was the message that they were trying to tell in this Laundromat story. Personally, I thought it was a very convoluted and unclear message as well, because it was trying to focus on, hey, do we need to show these events and potentially paint them in a way that to stop them in the future, or are we just strictly telling these true event stories to an audience member, or are we sort of showing, almost in this weird way, this propaganda of, hey, this is what's happening as a middle class, lower class American. These rich people are gonna get richer and richer and richer. I mean, you can dive into it and look and find these messages and really latch onto one, but again, I thought it was very unclear of the, I guess, overall agenda of the film, which again is odd for the messaging, because I thought that this was taking some serious events and definitely painting them in a serious manner, but it also was hitting on this comedic side of things. And as I was watching this, you know, it's from Steven Soderbergh, but the two films that came to mind that I thought did this sort of storytelling style a lot better was Vice and The Big Short, from obviously Adam McKay. And I felt like that's what they were going for. They're taking these true events that happened, that are serious, you almost can't believe that they happened, but add a little bit of humor in here and paint it in a more, you know, friendly light so it's more digestible for the everyday person. Overall, The Laundromat tackles these true events and tells them in this manner that, you know, is this true event, but also fictionalizes it a little bit, but ultimately the messaging falls flat. With it educating people that weren't aware of these events in a stacked cast, but with, again, the messaging being flawed, a very messy story, and a tone that felt very unclear. Unfortunately, I'd skip out on The Laundromat. You know, there's bits and pieces here or there that I could definitely see what Steven Soderbergh is going for, but ultimately, the film crumbles midway through. In closing, I'm gonna give The Laundromat 2 out of 5 fake companies. So what did you guys think of The Laundromat if you were able to check it out? I want to know in the comments down below. Anyways, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Watch some more videos up there, you know, movie reviews, trailer reactions, fun comedy skits, and a reminder, next week there's going to be that contest. If you're able to name all of the costumes that I've worn throughout October, you'll win some free JV merch. Stay tuned for that. Follow all of my social media. Click that subscribe button. It seriously helps me out. And until next time, something Patron shots.